Today, this is a continuation. This is the third Facebook Live freight broker training that we've done. And today we're going to cover a really interesting topic. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are on yet. I'm going to give it a minute or two for some of you guys to get live. But today we're going to cover how much can a freight broker or a freight agent earn? How much can they earn as a business owner, either as a licensed freight broker or as an independent agent that works under a freight broker? Okay, so that's the topic that we're going to talk about today. And just a quick intro for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dennis Brown. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years and have been truly blessed. I've built several multi-million-dollar companies, and one of those was a logistics company, a third-party logistics company. So I started that company in 2003. I had absolutely no experience in logistics, trucking, or freight, and was fortunate enough, the first year we did $1 million in sales, then we did $3 million in sales, then we did $6 million in sales, and by the time 2015 rolled around, we were doing over $80 million in sales, and I was blessed. I sold the equity in that business to pursue some other ventures, but I'm also the owner of an online training program called Freight Broker Bootcamp, which is one of the most cost-effective and comprehensive online freight broker training programs online. So we're going to give it another minute, but again, today we're going to talk about how much can a freight broker or a freight agent earn. And as you're coming in here, what would help a lot is for me to know where you're logging in from. I'm in Buffalo, New York. Where are you guys logging in from? Put it in the chat box as we wait for a few more people to get on, and let everybody know where you're logging in from. Last time we had a lot of people from all over the country logging in. It was crazy. You know, I've done two live Facebook Live trainings prior to this, and we've had great reviews. We've had a lot of engagement, and as long as we continue with that type of engagement, you know, I'm going to keep doing these. So, you know, once you guys slow down. So here we got Tim Langston from Calhoun, Georgia. I remember Tim. Dainty Allery from Stamford, Connecticut. I was just in Fairfield, Connecticut this past weekend. Tom Eaton from Monahans, Texas. Terry Ez from Newman, California. Once again, Terry was here before. And Wilma from Accord, New York. Give me some thumbs up, guys. Hit the thumbs. And if you guys could do me a favor before we jump into the training, could you share the stream? Click share and share the stream. That would be awesome. Again, if we get a bunch of shares and a bunch of likes, I'm going to keep doing these. But as soon as that participation starts to slow down, again, I'm on my way to a meeting. I have a meeting at 7:15 this evening. So I'm squeezing this in between because I wanted to make sure tomorrow I know I can't, Friday I know I can't, and I didn't want to go a week without giving you guys some free training. So with that in mind, so we got a bunch of people on here, so I'm going to dive into the content. Now, you know, I have done videos and I have done blog posts about how much a freight broker or freight agent can earn. I've done these in the past, and there's some of the most popular posts. Welcome, Jim Palumbo. There's some of the most popular posts that are on my blog by far. People always want to know, how much can you make, right? And, you know, I'm going to be really honest with you guys, all right? I'm going to give you some real honest, factual numbers, right? I'm not going to inflate things. I'm going to give you real numbers, all right? And so, oh, Lester, thank you for sharing the stream. Anybody else who shares, that would be awesome. Share the stream, click share, and then, you know, we'll get a bunch of other people on here asking good questions. At the end of this training, oh, I forgot to mention this to you. At the end of this training, I'm going to do a live Q&A. So I'm probably going to try to do about 10 or 15 minutes of talking, and then I'm going to dive right into live Q&A. So I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to ask questions centered around this topic. Obviously, it's pretty broad. How much can a freight broker or freight agent earn? So first, let's talk about how much can a freight agent earn. Welcome, Yasin Pasta from Ontario, Canada. Welcome. How much can a freight broker earn? How much can a freight broker make? Well, I took a quick look at some of the recent statistics. The great place to go is called Transport Topics. And Transport Topics ranked the top, what did they rank? The top 100 brokerages in the country based on revenue. And here you might be surprised. Some of you may have heard of some of these companies, but the top 10 brokers in the US, okay, US-based brokerages are C.H. Robinson, which I'm sure you're not surprised at, with $11.9 billion in 2015. $11.9 billion. Total Quality Logistics, otherwise known as TQL, with $2.2 billion in 2015. XPO Logistics at $1.7 billion. Okay. Now, XPO, I remember when XPO started up. Now, they've done a lot of acquisitions. They've bought a lot of companies, but I remember they haven't started up that long ago. They started after I started my brokerage, and they've already ramped up to almost $1.8 billion. Echo Global Logistics, which you may have heard of. I think they were originally out of Chicago. They did over $1.5 billion. Coyote Logistics, $2.3 billion. Landstar, $1.6 billion. Worldwide Express, which I'm not really familiar with, but they made the list at $750 million. Mode Transportation at $928 million. JB Hunt Brokerage at about $700 million. And Houston Logistics at about $767 million. Okay? So those are the top 10 brokers, licensed brokers. Now, let me chat about this for a second. I'm not telling you that you're going to go out and build a $1 billion business. I'm not telling you that that's what you're going to do. But what I'm telling you is that it's possible. What I want you to understand is the logistics industry, the trucking, the freight industry is so vast. It's so big. There is so much freight out there that there is just an amazing amount of opportunity for people that want to get out there and hustle. Now, this isn't one of those businesses where, it's just going to fall in your lap. Matter of fact, I've never found that business in over 20 years as an entrepreneur. I've always had to hustle to build a successful business. And so logistics is no different. I mentioned these top 10 because what I want you to understand is that if they can build a $700 million, a $900 million, a $11 billion company, how difficult do you think it would be for you over the next 3 to 5 years to build something where you could make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 or more in your pocket, right in the Hip National Bank? Boom. That's your profit. I'm not talking about gross revenue, but how difficult do you think it would be to do that? Honestly, it's work, but it's absolutely worth it. I remember started my brokerage in 2003. We did $1.2 million in sales. I had no experience. None. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. Nada. Never drove a truck. Never moved a pallet. Never did any of that. Okay, 1.2 million our first year. Our second year we did 3.6 million, and then we did over 6 million our third year. Then we did 12 million. Then we did 18 million and 23 million, and I think it was 29 or 32, and it just kept going up. And by 2015, we were doing over $80 million. Over $80 million. And I finally sold that company to pursue some other ventures, but I kept my online freight broker training program called freightbrokerbootcamp.com. And that's why I'm here. I like to share free training with people that have visited my site, that go to my blog, and now that go to my Facebook page. So with that in mind, I just want you guys to understand that the opportunity is there. As a brokerage, there's a ton of business out there, okay? Now, we have a bunch of people that have joined since coming on, so I'm just going to give you a brief intro. Again, my name is Dennis Brown. I built a brokerage from zero to over $80 million in sales. I sold that brokerage in 2015. I'm also the owner of freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I've been very blessed as an entrepreneur over the last 20 years. I've built 3 multi-million-dollar companies. And so this training is what we're talking about today is how much can a freight broker or a freight agent earn as a business owner? How much can you earn? And at the end of this training, we're going to do a live Q&A. So I'm going to offer up to you guys to submit questions through the chat box, and I'm going to do a live Q&A. I also have a special gift for you guys. For those of you that are live on here, for those of you that are interested, I also have a special gift. Here it is right here. It's a free report called 4 Reasons Why Top Freight Brokers Earn More. And I give you some inside secrets on what makes a top freight broker so successful. What are the 4 things that top freight brokers do? There are a lot of things they do, but what are the 4 things that they do most often that make them so successful. And I'm going to give you guys a link where you can download that. Matter of fact, I'll put that link in here now so you guys can see that in real time. There's the link. If you guys were to click on that link, it's going to bring you directly to a page where you can get that free report. You just put your email in, and you can get that. The free report will be sent directly to you. And that is the 4 reasons why top freight brokers earn more. Okay, so I want to welcome a few people. Let's see, Todd Fatkin from Illinois. Todd's here. Maria Gonzalez from Newman, California. Awesome. Barry Sims from New Orleans, from Nolans. Perfect. Awesome. So listen, hey guys, for those of you that are just getting on here, hit some likes. I want to see some blue dots come up on the screen. And also, if we get a bunch of shares on this, if you share the stream, click share this post, and you share the stream on throughout your network, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to do these types of trainings on a regular basis. I've done 3 in the last couple of weeks. Now, I haven't put a schedule together, but I am going to continue to do that. So we've now covered, how much a freight broker can make. All right, so now let's talk about a freight agent. But before we talk into how much can a freight agent earn, let me talk to you about exactly what a freight agent is. I want to make sure you guys understand the difference. A freight broker is someone that is licensed by the FMCSA as a licensed property broker, or also known as a freight broker. Okay, so they're licensed by the FMCSA to operate as a brokerage in the United States. Now, there's bonding requirements. There's some basic licensing requirements. It's not that complicated. It's not that difficult. Matter of fact, my training goes into extensive detail on exactly how to do that. But an agent is someone who's an independent contractor who works under a licensed broker. So they become an independent contractor that works for a licensed broker. Now, you're not an employee. They don't dictate when you work or how you work. They don't dictate how much you make or when you can go to the bathroom or when you can go on vacation or when you can go on break. You're an independent contractor. You can work from home. And those types of people, my business, my company that I started was an agent-based brokerage. We had over 70 offices throughout the United States. And those offices were typically anywhere from 1 to 20 person operations, right? So some of our larger agencies had 15 or 20 people. But most of them were 1, 2, 3 people, and they were working from home or a small office. Now, how much can a freight agent earn? Okay, a freight agent our average agent, one of the last years I was there, I remember looking at some of the stats. Our average agent in one of the last years I was there made over $107,000, and 80% of them worked from home. 80% of our agents work from home, and they made over $107,000 in commissions. Now, an agent has very little overhead. He has phones, internet, computer, maybe a couple load boards, basic overhead. Really simple, very light, not very risky position. Okay, pretty simple. And if you're making $107,000, your expenses are next to nothing. You're sticking a lot of that money, like I said, right in the old Hip National Bank. So it's a great way to make money. Now, newer agents are going to typically not going to make that. If you're brand new, you might make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, depending upon how many customers you get, how aggressive you are, how much you really want to build the business. But making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 as an agent working from home is not difficult. Okay. Now I'm going to do what I need to do here, which is I want to give you an income disclaimer, right? I'm not here to project how much you guys are going to make. That's all determined by your skill level, hard work, a little bit of luck, some training, and how badly you want it and how long you're willing to stick with it and how risk adverse you are. And so ultimately, again, I'm not here to tell you you're going to make $1 million as a broker. You absolutely can. I've made millions. I've been really blessed. I'm not saying that being a jerk. I'm just being honest. I've made millions of dollars as a broker. And I helped a lot of people make that kind of money too. I remember people that, were working and they were making $20,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year. And within a year or two of being an agent, they were making 6 figures. I've had agents of mine that have made $300,000 or $400,000 plus in 1 year. That's how much commission they stuck in their pocket. That's huge money, guys. That's huge money. And again, not everybody's going to do that, but I want you to understand that the possibility is there. So there is a lot of opportunity out there. If you want to become a licensed broker, My Freight Broker Bootcamp training goes into that in detail. If you want to become an agent, my Freight Broker Bootcamp training goes into that in detail. You guys can always check that out. But for now, what I want you to check out is I want you to check out the free report that I'm putting together. 4 reasons why top freight brokers earn more money. And there's the link. So you guys get that free report. It's a 2-pager. It's going to go into extensive detail on the 4 things that we didn't necessarily cover here because I don't have time to get into all that today because I want to get into the live Q&A. But you guys can download this report. There's 4 primary reasons, 4 strategies that I talk about here in this report that you're going to want to get your hands on, okay? So let's dive into some questions. We've been on here for, geez, I don't know how long. We've been on here for a little bit now. Let's see how long we've been going. So we've been on for about 15 minutes. You know, I'll stay on for another 10 or 15 minutes, and I got to jump in the car, take off, and head to my meeting. So with that in mind, let's have the questions start to flow. But here's going to be my deal, guys. Tell me if this is fair or not. I will answer any and all of your questions within the next 15 minutes or so before I leave. But because I'm not charging you for this, here's all I ask. If you want me to answer a question, if you want to ask a question, first think about the question and make sure it's a good question, okay? Number 2 is I want you to like and share this stream before I'm going to answer the question. Is that fair? Give me a yes, no, maybe if you think that is fair, because that's something that I think is reasonable. You know, my daughter suggested that to me. She suggested, you know, Dad, why don't you make them share or like it or do something? You're giving it to them for free. And I don't mind doing that, but tell me what you guys think. Is that fair? Dante Ellery says that's fair. Yes, that's fair and reasonable. So please, I'm only going to answer your question or entertain your question if I've seen that you have actually shared the stream. Okay? So share the stream and ask away. Let's see. Tom Eaton has a question here. Tom, did you share the stream? Have you shared the Facebook live stream? Hit in the chat box here and let me know. It says, Tom's question is, what does the overhead look like for each, agents and brokers, permits, licenses, etc.? Barry Sims says it's okay. Samuel Jacopel says he shared. I see Samuel has shared it. That's awesome. Great job. Thank you so much for sharing it. Let's see. I apologize for my thumb there. Let's see who else has shared. Tom Eaton did share. Great. So Tom's question, what's the overhead? All right, we'll tack that question first. Anybody else who has a question, write it out, share the stream, like the post, and I'll call on you. Okay, great. So the overhead, let's start with an agent because that's easy. I just talked about that briefly. Your overhead as an agent is really simple. Typically it's phone, which is either a hardline phone or a cell phone, which is very little overhead. Internet access, which most people have already at home. A computer, which most people have already at home. A printer, which most people already have at home. Some office supplies like pens and paper, which is basic, right? Load boards like getloaded.com or Internet Truck Stop or a variety of different load boards. Most of those load boards cost anywhere between 30 and 50 bucks, right? Per month, and that's pretty simple. Software, you don't need to start with freight broker software. You can do it on load sheets. Software varies throughout the industry. You can pay as little as $10 or $20 or $30 a month, all the way up to thousands of dollars. You know, you can invest how much you want there. It can be significant or it can be fairly small. I say start out very small. Keep your overhead very, very low until you start generating revenue, generating some profit, and then reinvest some of that profit into your business. So literally, as an agent, your overhead, that's pretty much it. Your overhead is super, super low. Again, 8 or 9 out of 10 agents work from home. So you don't need to pay rent. You don't need to do any of that, okay? So that's the agent overhead. Now, how about the freight broker overhead? So as a broker, your overhead is all of those things that I just mentioned, plus a couple of more. You're probably going to need to get some general liability insurance. You're probably also going to need you're going to have a bond, which is an annual cost that you're going to have. Bonds typically run somewhere between let's call it 2 and 5% of the bond. So if you have to have a $75,000 bond, I'm not very good at math, but if you have to have somewhere between 2 and 5% of that $75,000 bond is what your annual cost will be for that bond. And as you're in business longer, that price will go down as you have less, as you don't have claims and issues, and you've built a history. That price will typically go down. What else will you need? If you hire employees, you're going to need money to pay those employees, obviously. You're going to need rent if you're going to not work from home. A lot of brokers work from home when they first start as well. If you move into an office, you're going to have some rent. There's a lot of variable costs out there that you don't need, but those are the things that you have to have. You're going to need some sort of an accounting software, which is like a QuickBooks or something like that, which is a one-time cost. It might be a couple $100 for something like that. So your overhead is really, really low. Your biggest overhead as a broker is the cash it's going to take to pay the carriers. And that's why a lot of companies, brokers, do factoring. And I'm not going to dive into factoring today, but it's kind of like a bankroll for brokers or a bankroll for carriers. They will advance the money to the carriers if you don't have it in your bank account, and they charge a small fee, let's call it 1, 2, 3% or something like that as a part of the invoice. So I'm not going to dive into factoring today, but that's some of the overhead. Now, did that answer your question, Tom? Hopefully that answered your question. Okay, great. Tom says that's a great deal. He shared it, and I hope you're happy with that answer. Let's see what else we got. What other questions do we have here? Let's see. Maria Gonzalez has a question. Do freight brokers need to have insurance? I see they all have it, but on our research, it seems like it's not required. Let me know. Okay, so as a business owner, depending upon your state laws, you're probably going to have at least general liability insurance. That's usually really inexpensive because this isn't a retail location. You don't have a lot of liability. Your general liability might cost you $300, $400, $500 a year for your liability insurance. Now, there's another insurance that a lot of brokers have, and it's become very trendy, even though I think it's a big pain in the butt. It's called contingent cargo insurance. Now, let me give you the skinny on contingent cargo insurance. Honestly, there are shippers that require you to have it in order to move their freight. Not all shippers do. It's not, number one, it's not a law. You do not have to have contingent cargo insurance. It's totally optional and variable, okay? And contingent cargo is supposed to kick in the event that the carrier's cargo insurance doesn't cover the value of the load. Now, it's contingent. If you can afford it, I suggest you get it. It's going to open up some doors with shippers, but as a percentage, most shippers don't require it. Some larger shippers do. So if you do business with large Fortune 1000 brands, which is you're probably not going to start out doing that, you may have to get it at some point. Now, as far as other insurance, really general liability, the contingent cargo is a variable. You can get that if you want. If you require, I suggest you start out without it. And then if you run into a shipper that requires it, and if they give you assurances that if you get the contingent cargo, you're going to get the business, well, then go out and get the contingent cargo. That's what you'll have to do, and you'll just have to finance it somehow. And, contingent cargo, those prices vary. I don't know. I haven't had to source contingent cargo insurance for a while. It's not crazy, but it'll be a few $1,000s at least probably, and that's on an annual basis. Okay, it's not something you got to pay up front. You can do those in installments typically. Okay, so let's see. Oh, great! I'm glad you liked the answer, Tom. Give me some thumbs up. Anybody who likes the answers I'm giving and thinks they're valuable, give me some thumbs up. Maria, I hope that helps you with your insurance question. Druggy Stone, Druggy, oh, there you go. Okay, great. So if you want your question answered, I need you to share the stream. So once I see that you've shared the stream, then I'll answer your question. Okay, who we got here? What else we got? Let's see. Jim Palumbo, is being a freight agent the best way to start or go right to being a broker? Good question, Jim. I'm glad you asked that question because a lot of people in the audience probably have that question, but we're afraid to ask, and I get it all the time. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I started out as a broker, but I was fortunate. I had some money to start the business with. And so, I could, and I had quite a bit of it. I had a decade of business experience in building other companies and other industries. So I had a little bit more experience than the average person that's out there looking to start a brokerage. So here's what I would tell you. If you do not have an existing customer base, you should definitely start as an agent. If you do not have a significant capital reserve, you should definitely start as an agent. If you don't have hands-on experience in working as a broker, you should probably start as an agent. Okay? Now I didn't, but it's a unique situation. I was fortunate, I had access to capital getting started, and it was a little bit different. But remember, I'll tell you, me as a broker, it was a scary deal. Even though we did $1 million our first year, there was a lot of capital we had to put into the business to get it going. So my suggestion to you is start as an agent and let the broker handle all those requirements. They've already been in business for a year or 2 or 5 or 10, depending on who you partner with. And you can gladly, piggyback off them, let them handle all that. And all you need to focus on is 1, going and getting the customers and getting the freight. Number 2, covering the loads and making sure everything picks up and deliver on time. And then you're going to get paid every week. You're going to get paid commissions every week or bi-weekly, depending upon the deal you have. So that would be my suggestion. Maria, glad that answer helped you. Thank you for asking the question and for sharing. Jim, I hope that answered your question, and I'm sure if there was anybody else on here that was thinking about that question, give me some likes, give me some thumbs up, because I'm going to tell you right now that that's a question I get a lot. Dante Allery, Dante, did you share the post already? Did you guys share the post? Let's see, I know Jim did. Let's see, did Dante share the post? Dante Allery. So, Dante's question is, as an agent, how do I contract or work for a broker? Okay, that's a training that I did last week. If after you go through this training, if you scroll down on the Facebook feed where you're at right now on facebook.com/Freight Broker Bootcamp, you'll see another training that says how to get hired as an agent. I go in, I do video training just like this on Facebook. It's playing there right now on a live replay where you can go in and dive into that, okay? So we get into a lot of depth about how to do that, the steps that are involved, and exactly how I suggest you do that, okay? And they're typically going to have a contract that you guys can go over and read and sign and feel comfortable with on both sides. It's going to say everything that they're responsible for, everything you're responsible, your commission schedule, and all of that will be disclosed in that agreement, okay? So, let's see. So, Dima, have you shared the post? Did you share the post? Please post in the box if you shared the post, because I'm not seeing where you guys have shared the post. Jim, you're welcome. Maria, you're welcome for those questions, for those answers. Let's see. Dante, if you didn't share the post, I answered your question anyway, so definitely share the post. Jay Gouda, could I get a bond in someone else's name for credit reasons? Jay, did you share the post yet? Jay Gouda, if you shared the post, then I'll be glad to work with you. Gary Rogowski, if you shared the post, I will gladly answer your question. So I'm waiting for some people that shared the post to, okay, so Jay did share the post, but I don't see where you shared it, Jay. Normally I get notified when people share it, and I'm not seeing it. So, all right, we'll dive into that question here. Let's check it out. All right, so your question is, all right, so Dima, we'll do this one. Many of the brokers, I'd say most of them, don't want to work with Landstar because of the double brokerage. It's like a statement. Landstar sucks. Don't work with them. I work with Landstar agencies, and we only use our own trucks. What I'm supposed to do with this situation? Dima, if you're a Landstar agent, I can't really advise you. I've never been a Landstar agent. I don't really know the inner workings of how that works. So I'm sorry if you're an agent and you're not happy there, find somebody else. That's all I can suggest. But I really don't know what you need to do with Landstar. Let's see. Jay Gouda says, could I get a bond in someone else's name for credit reasons? I don't know. They would have to be a partner or an owner of the business is probably what they'd have to be, because you have to disclose all that financial information in your bond application. But like I said, Jay, don't if you're in a situation where you have bad credit or you're not going to get approved on a bond, become an agent. You're a fool if you think that you can't make a ton of money as an agent. You're going to make more profit your first year as an agent than you will as a broker. And here's why: because you're going to have to invest a lot more money, a lot more capital up front as a broker to get started. Now, for some people, for me, that was the best play. But for you, that might not be the best play. Again, I don't know you, but I'm going to tell you, don't overlook the agent opportunity, because you can be an agent for a year, year and a half, 2, 3 years, build your customer base up, get a nice income, get a nest egg there, get your credit fixed up, and then go become your own broker, start your own brokerage, go get your own bond, your own license, and then open your brokerage, because you've already got a built-in customer base, right? So that's a no-brainer. I've seen a lot of agents that have done that over the years, because at the end of the day, as long as they're comfortable with doing the back end, the billing and the collections and all the administrative stuff, it's usually not a big deal. All right, so hope that answered your question, Jay. Sorry about the shaky deal here, but I'm doing this all by myself. Jim, you're welcome. Dante, you're welcome. Dima, you're welcome. Yes. Let's see some other questions here. Gary Rogowski. Gary, you said you shared it earlier. Do most drivers look to get into brokering instead of the hustle of driving over the road, or do brokering as a side business of their trucking business? Good question. That's a really good question, Gary. I see a lot of both. I see drivers that have been driving for a long time that want to get out of the truck because it's not a great lifestyle for everyone, right? So they look to brokering because it's within the industry that they know, and that they can work from home and they can pivot into that industry. So I see a lot of people that do that, but I do see a lot of guys who own a truck who are looking to add more trucks, but also want to add a brokerage. So ultimately they'll probably leave the truck and move into the brokerage, but they'll keep their trucks on the road with other drivers in it. So I hope those are the two scenarios I see the most often. I don't have statistics on it, but I can tell you that, I get a lot of messages, I get a lot of email, I get a lot of messages on my blog, I get a lot of phone calls, I get a lot of emails from people that own small trucking companies, 1 truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks, and they want to own a brokerage, or they want to get out of the truck, close their trucking company, and become brokers. So I see a lot of both, all right? So I hope that answers your question, Gary. Let's see what else we got. How long have we been on here? Hold on a minute. Ooh, all right. So we're past a half an hour. I'm going to wrap this up here in just a minute. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. You will have to click on shares, and it will tell you. Okay. All right. Shazia Butts. Shazia, did you share the stream? Let me know if you shared it, Shazia, and I'll be glad to try to answer your question. Let's see. Let's see what we got as far as shares. So we've got 13 shares so far. So Shazia, I don't see Shazia. Shazia, have you shared it? Did you share the stream? Great, let's move on here. All right. Jim Palumbo, would it be helpful to go directly to the shipper face to face? Jim, I know I answered a question for you already, but this is a good question. I'm going to answer this. So the answer to that question is this. Do you go direct to the shipper? As a broker or an agent, you want to go direct to the shipper. You're not going to be double brokering, okay? You need to go direct to the shipper, either by phone or face-to-face. Now, I'm going to tell you that I built my brokerage with very little face-to-face. Most of it was over the phone. But if you have local clients in your local area, I would recommend trying to get out to visit them, have lunch, have dinner, have some social events, meet them at their location, develop a relationship, okay? I'm going to strongly suggest that you do that. And speaking of that, I'm going to put back in here this link. This is the link right here, guys, where you can get the free report for the 4 reasons top freight brokers earn more. Don't miss it. I'm going to pull it down after today. Okay, so yeah, that would be what I would suggest. Go direct to the shippers. If you can go face to face, great. But I wouldn't suggest you invest a lot of time and energy. So if I lived in Buffalo, would I go out to Chicago and spend a lot of time knocking on doors or having appointments out there when I first get started? No. I would develop some relationships with them, over the phone, over the internet, through Skype, through Facebook, through, webinars, through, FaceTime on your phone, or just phone calls, right? Before I ever invested a lot of money traveling out there. I did not do that. I was very much against it. I had salespeople that wanted to travel all over the country and said, "Oh, I've got this guy in, Bend, Oregon that, is going to give me a lot of freight. Can I fly out there?" No, nope. He starts putting up some freight. You start putting up some freight. You start moving some freight, and you want to go expand that business. Fly out to Bend, Oregon. Go ahead. I don't have a problem with that. But you want to start this very lean, guys. Don't spend a lot of money on stuff that's not directly income producing. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. How to decide which company to go with as a broker. Shazia, how to decide which company to go with as a broker. Okay. So, there are a lot of variables that would go in for you if you want to become an agent signing up with a brokerage. Now, there is a whole other training if you scroll down in the feed that I did on how to get a job as a freight agent, even if you don't have experience. But I'm going to give you a quick rundown. Number one, you got to check their credit. You want to know if they have decent credit, okay? Because if they don't have good credit, you're going to have a hard time getting carriers to haul for you. Find their credit. Pull some sort of a credit report on the brokerage. Invest a little bit of money, 20 or 30 or 50 bucks or whatever it is. Pull credit on that brokerage if you're serious about it, because you want to know what their credit is. If they're not paying their bills on time, you don't want to get into that mess, okay? Number two, I would see, how technologically innovative they are. Do they have software? Do they have systems that are going to make your job easier? Or are they still scribbling on napkins and chalkboards? Okay. I'd look a little bit at the technology, and I would also, understand talk to the owners. Try to understand the owners. What's their, what is their goal? What's their long-term goal for the business? What type of leaders are they? Have they built successful businesses? I mean, there's a lot of variables when you're choosing a vendor or when you're choosing a partner. Those are just a few to get started with. I hope they help, Shazia. I hope they help. Let's see. Okay, Jay, you're welcome. You're welcome for that answer. Shazia, you're welcome. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so great. So, hey guys, listen, here's what I'm going to tell you. Today we went over this training. How much can a freight broker or freight agent earn? If you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you got good value, hit the like button, share the stream, tell your friends about it. I'm going to continue to do these until the participation dies down. We had really great participation on the last one. I'm not sure how you guys are doing on this one. I think we've got quite a few. Quite a few comments. We don't have a lot of likes, guys. We don't have a whole lot of likes at all. We got some good shares, which is great. But boost up those likes, boost up those shares. I'm doing this for free, guys. It costs you absolutely nothing. Make sure you get that free report. The link is in there to the free report, the 4 reasons top freight brokers earn more. Don't miss that, because I will pull that down eventually. And if you guys are interested in getting started as an agent, go over and check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That's my online freight broker and freight agent training course. It's well known. We've trained over 3,000 students, been in business. The site started about 10 years ago. So 3,000 students, 10 years in business, no issues, 97% customer satisfaction. Check it out. It's known throughout the industry to be the most comprehensive and cost-effective online freight broker training. So Gary, glad you liked it. Tom, glad you liked it. I'm going to continue to do these trainings. If you guys have topics that you would like me to talk about in the future, put them in the chat box. I want you to continue to put them in the chat box. If you have future topics that you would like me to talk about, now bigger topics, right? Like this was how much, the 3 that I've done so far is how to convert 1 customer into 10 customers. That's in the stream. How to get hired as a freight agent with no experience. And now this one is how much can a freight broker or a freight agent earn. I'm going to continue to put these great topics out there, but I'd love to hear from you guys as well. So I'm going to close out. You guys have an awesome day. We'll see you soon.